Hey Doc, so you've been coaching for 21 seasons in the NBA. What do you think the trajectory of like the baseline for rookies has been over time? Like what does that look like over the long term?
It's so different with everybody. I think obviously this year is extraordinary when you think that they not only had a chance to get in and get comfortable with the city that they're going in, with the facilities, with the players and coaches, no summer league. But it's funny that I would say you got to put them in different like categories. That elite group that matter what year they are, they're going to be elite. They're going to play well. They're going to play well out of the box. Then there's that second group that kind of finds themselves early. That's usually the veteran rookies. Then there's that third group, the young guys that come in maybe a little too early. It may take a year or two, may even get lost for 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden they get back to being what they were. So I would put it in those categories.
Thank you.
Next question from Keith Pompey. Go ahead and ask your question, Keith.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Doc? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. You made a trade today. Just talk about the three guys and how you what do you like about them and how you plan to utilize them.
Well, other than Danny, I know exactly how we want to utilize Danny. The other two will be more positional players, effort players. They're both skilled. They both can do things. Where Danny, is a vet. I'm going to put him in the veteran role. He knows how to play off of talent, and he's done a great job of that. He's been fortunate in his career when you think about it, with all the great players that he's been able to play next to. And that's an art. It is. It's an art form when you learn how to still play well off of great players. And Danny has done a great job of that. That's why we wanted him.
And can we assume that Danny, Seth, Ben, Tobias, and Joel are going to be your starting five?
You can make that assumption, but that doesn't mean it won't change, But that sounds like a good lineup. I may use that.
We get half of your salary.
Yes, come on, man.
And one last question, Doc. How do you, with all these trade rumors swirling?
Yeah.
How do you like? I'm pretty sure some of your guys are like, hey, the last couple of days he said everything was great, and now all of a sudden we're hearing these trade rumors swirling. What do you say to them?
Well, you're not hearing them from us, So as long as you don't hear them from us, you should be very comfortable. We like our team, man. I tell you, that team I just watched out there is pretty special. And so, those rumors, none are coming from us.
We'll send it to Paul Hudrick next. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Doc. I guess first things first, are you kind of relieved that that trade went through and now you're going to get Danny in the fold after, it's been a kind of, worst kept secret type of thing? And how big of an influence do you think Danny can be on Ben and Joel because of that championship experience?
Well, I think he can be, and Dwight's here already, who was coming off a championship. So it's not bad having championship guys on your team. Let's just put it like that. And veteran guys that are over themselves. That's what I would say with both. Danny came in the league that way. He's always just kind of fit in. Dwight has grown that way. The thing I've been so impressed with Dwight, it's rare that a guy can go from the guy, superstar, MVP, in the MVP category every year, to being a role player, wanting to help everybody else, and that's what he's doing. So really impressive to see him do that, and having Danny do it as well will be great, not just for Ben and Joel. I think Ben and Joel are going to be great regardless. I think he's going to be great for all the other guys to show them by playing a role, you can be a star as well.
Next up is Derek Bodner. Go ahead, Derek.
Especially given how comically short this training camp is, how frustrating is it that because of these sort of arcane rules that you can't integrate them in this very limited amount of time you have while you wait for this sort of become official? That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I will say this though, with Danny, it's not as tough for him. For the other two, I think it's very difficult. But Danny probably could show up on the first game and figure out how to play because he's been doing it for so long. The other two, I think it'd be very difficult for them.
We'll go to Tom West. Go ahead and ask your question, Tom.
Hey Doc, both Ben and Justin mentioned yesterday how vocal Dwight has been in practice so far, and he's kind of taking on a leadership role with the team. I was just wondering sort of what has stood out to you most from what Dwight's been showing so far.
Well, he's leading more by example, and that's always the best leadership, especially from a player perspective. He's out there doing it. He's holding himself accountable, which I think is something great for all our guys to see. Every time Dwight makes a mistake, he's the first one, raises his hand. My fault. What do I need to do? He asks questions a lot, which a lot of veterans don't. They feel like asking the question is a sign of weakness for whatever reason, instead of getting to know what we're doing. So he's been fantastic.
The next question from Mark Narducci. You're up, Mark.
Hey Doc, I know so much has been made about your three-point shooting that you've acquired and everything, but what about defensively with guys like Dwight and Danny? Do you think this can be a markedly better defensive team this year?
Well, I'm hoping. We have the guys. Starting with Ben and Joel, number one. But having Tobias with his length, we're long, and we can be long, and we can bring in even more length. So, yeah, we have to be in that top 5 category. We really do. And I told our guys that before camp started. Like, if you want to be great and, win the things that you say you want to win, then there's going to be nights where you get wide open shots and they just don't go in. But can you win on those nights? Or are you going to get frustrated because your offense is not going, and that's going to lead to bad defense? Those are the traits that I honestly don't know about my team yet. But those are the traits I know I want. I want to win on bad offensive nights. And we're going to have some. It just happens.
Thank you.
We'll send it to Kai Carlin. Go ahead, Kai.
Hey, what's going on, Doc? How are you?
I'm great.
All right. So when you first got introduced here last month or whatever, you were talking about Shake and Matisse and how impressed you kind of were with those two young guys. Now that you have been able to see them up close here in training camp and everything, is there anything that's kind of stood out to you about those two young guys?
Well, I haven't been able to see Matisse. He's been limited with the ankle sprain. So we're waiting for him. But Shake's been amazing. He's faster than I thought. It's funny, he had a big game against us, but most of that was jump shooting. When I was with the Clippers, he made a bunch of jump shots. I didn't see his ability to get to the rack and make plays. He played with the first group today because we keep moving groups around, and he was unbelievable.
Thank you.
Last question comes from D. Lynham. Go ahead, D.
Thanks, Matt. Doc, I was curious because a couple of years ago we talked a lot about the combination of JJ and Joel Embiid and how well that worked together. Can you, through these first couple of practices, start to see combinations that feed off of each other, maybe chemistry-wise?
Yeah,
If you do, can you share?
Well, there's a lot of combinations. If you just use Joel as the factor in each of the combinations, Seth and Joel look great together. Furkan and Joel look great together. Shake and Joel look great together. So we have a lot of combinations that we can use. And there's an action we've been using with Ben and Joel that has been fantastic. It's a pick and roll action that I can't wait to use against other teams to see how it works, because either we're not guarding it well or it's going to be a tough action.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Doc.
Take care, guys.